We're with David Shapiro. David Shapiro is a DUI lawyer in San Diego, California, and he's agreed to answer the online questions. This question was actually very specific. You should probably know the answer to it. It's, how do I find a good lawyer for DUI?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, how you find a good lawyer in general. I think DUI is a little niche within criminal defense. So the first thing you want to do is make sure, this is an attorney who is presentable, an attorney who's not going to hurt you with their own poor reputation. There's a lot of attorneys, for lack of a better word, who are hacks, who call themselves criminal defense attorneys, whether it's because they can't get a job doing other stuff and think, oh, it's easy to do criminal defense, which is not, or it's people who are just, not good attorneys, not good advocates, not good representations of the people they're supposed to be representing. So you want to hire an attorney who's been around, who has good experience, who has a good reputation, and who's presentable and approachable, someone who either themselves or their staff you can get a hold of, and have your questions answered in a timely manner, whether it's, a felony DUI or whether it's a first-time DUI. Your case is important, and you want to make sure you have an attorney who surrounds himself with the right people or herself with the right people, and has that experience. Trial experience, motion experience is very important as well. I've had my fair share of DUI jury trials. I've done my fair share of suppression motions, issues related to DUI cases. A lot of attorneys, may claim to be DUI attorneys, and they might have done 1 or 2 DUI trials in their career. Hey, we were all there at one point in time. I'm not knocking them for that. They got to get out there and work and hustle. But, from your perspective, if all else being equal, if that attorney's charging this much and another attorney with a lot more experience is charging that much, and you could do both, hire the better attorney with the practical in-court experience. Another thing to be aware of are attorneys who go out there and say, well, I've been in practice for 25, 30 years. Why are you going to hire someone like David Shapiro who's been practicing for 7 years? Well, you got to look at not along how that person's been in practice, not how long they've been in practice, but how many cases they've done. So if I've done over 1,000 cases in my career and some guy who's been doing it 25 years has done 500 cases, who are you going to hire? You should want to hire the attorney who's got the more experience, more volume, not just years in practice. You can do years in practice doing wills and trusts and estates. You can do years in practice playing golf. You can do years in practice doing civil defense stuff, not DUI defense, not criminal law defense. So that's something as well. You also want to ask your attorney or the attorney staff who you're considering hiring, hey, this attorney's he or she going to DUI seminars? Are they keeping up to date with the law? Do they have that experience? We have a thing here in San Diego where it's a criminal defense listserv, sort of like where attorneys will circulate questions to other attorneys, and I'm amazed by some of the questions that people ask. People who hold themselves out there to be great criminal defense minds, great DUI attorney minds, and they're asking questions that it's like, well, I think this is a good search, or I think this was a good stop, and there's so much case law that's happened in the last 2 years that says, no, it's not. You might have an issue with the blood draw. You might have an issue with the stop. And, so you want to make sure you hire someone who's up to date on the law. There's a lot of, for lack of a better word, timepieces. People who may have done a lot of DUIs 20, 15, 10 years ago, and now they're human plea forms, meaning they go into court and, I don't want to go to trial, so I'm just going to continue the case a lot and, plead to the same thing I could have pled to 6 months ago for my client. That really doesn't accomplish anything either. You want to have an attorney that's got a plan in place, and you want to ask them how they're going to implement that plan with your case. Now, it's difficult for the attorney in a lot of situations to give you a real concrete answer, because when someone comes in and they get arrested for DUI, I don't have the discovery. I don't have the reports. All I know is maybe the chemical test, if it's a breath test, what the results were, and what my client's account is of the events. But you want to generally ask, hey, what do you do? How do you deal with high blood alcohol levels? How do you deal with driving defense DUI cases? What have you done in similar cases where it might seem hopeless? Why should I hire you? What's your plan? You want to make sure that attorney, or at the very least the people who work for that attorney, are able to tell you exactly what that attorney does, how they turn hopeless cases and are able to salvage them and get you the best result, as good a result, if not better than anybody else out there. So those are really important questions. You don't want to necessarily hire the person who advertises the best, who has the fanciest website, or charges the most money. Sometimes those are the better attorneys. Sometimes they're not. So you want to be really careful about that. You want to look at reviews. You want to look at that attorney's reputation within the community. You want to look at how the prosecutors, how the judges may view that attorney, whether they laugh at them, whether they think that they're, not very smart, whether they think that they're not very presentable or respectable to the court in the court's time. All those things go into picking the right attorney.
All right. Well, hopefully that answers your question. If you have additional questions, you can post them in the comments below. David, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.